But just to give you some sense of what the package will be talking about, I'm not going to pre-announce it today, but it tackles issues relating to finance, the provision of finance, particularly for early-stage companies. It tackles issues related to taxation. Many other countries, particularly countries such as Singapore, Belgium, France, America, have attracted life sciences companies by providing tax breaks for the location of intellectual property, particularly patents, in those countries linked to manufacturing. Package of measures around the innovation and adoption of new medicines. The way in which our healthcare system adopts new medicines has a big impact on the propensity for businesses to invest and locate in the UK. If we are not an early adopter of new medicines and new treatments, then those businesses will locate elsewhere. An assessment of the skills base that we have in this country, the skills gaps, for example, in areas such as clinical pharmacology, and an action plan to address it. Push to integrate the industry more effectively and develop a better working relationship between the industry and our healthcare system. And the necessary incentives for our researchers to ensure that, for example, if you are carrying out clinical research within one of our universities, you're assessed on whether or not your research leads to peer-reviewed papers, you're assessed on whether or not your research leads to the creation of start-up companies. But at the moment, you're not assessed on whether or not your research leads to effective implementation into clinical practice. We need to change that. So, a package of measures announced next month. I know from my own experience of having worked 10 years in this sector that this country really has the potential to do this. We have a fantastic asset in our NHS, which we need to develop and use more effectively to ensure that we have the jobs and the income for the future. So finally, in wrapping up, asking yourselves what can you do to support this agenda. If you work in industry, ask yourself what it is that you are going to do in your business to respond to this package from the government. Because what would not be acceptable is for the government to put in place these measures and for industry not to respond. If you're a scientist working in medical research, ask yourself what more you can do to ensure that your medical research breakthroughs are effectively commercialised and are brought through to clinical practice as effectively as possible. And if you work in the NHS, think about how you can encourage the adoption of innovative new products, new treatments and approaches, and most importantly, ensure the adoption of these new breakthrough approaches is effectively spread throughout our NHS.